It's a delight to have you, Andy. I am so glad you're in Congress. I am so glad you are with us today. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Good to be with you as always.
I want to talk to you about reopening the country. I want to talk to you a little bit about an op-ed you wrote on China. I want to talk to you about what you're saying about guest worker visas. All smart, all good. But I got to tell you first, you struck me by a tweet that was just so smart in its simplicity. It was in response to Governor Walz of Minnesota saying that, going about reopening churches is maddeningly complex. I just loved what you wrote. You wrote a volume with this one sentence. The First Amendment is not maddeningly complex. You went to law school. I went to law school. It's not that hard.
Well, you and I, Seth, know how hard lawyers can make things.
Yes, that's true.
That's just it. To the average American, to the common sense American, of which there are a majority, I believe, they look at it and say, what do you mean complex?
Yeah.
How could this be so complex? Put on your Sunday best, go to church, worship, go home.
How hard is it? How hard is it? I love that. That was so good. That was so good of you to do. Andy, I want to talk to you about the guest worker thing in a second. But first, you had this op-ed that China is acting like a Cold War enemy and international outlaw. And I'm so glad that you wrote this because it's a good history lesson that I think a lot of people have forgotten. I don't know if you saw this. Your colleague in Washington, D.C., Kamala Harris, she has proposed legislation to prevent people from designating this virus the Wuhan virus or the Chinese virus because I guess she likes the First Amendment so much, like so many other Democrats. But it's important for us to wrap our heads around, and maybe this incident, maybe this virus incident's too small a word for it, is a good springboard for us to take a really close look at just what it is we have with China, yeah?
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship. Most people forget that they are a communist nation. Mm-hmm. Most people forget that they still oppress tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people in their own country the way an authoritarian nation does. And most people think, well, since we get so much product, we've got so many manufacturing plants that have gone over there and everything, that it's free and open and it's a free market system, kind of like we have here. That's not true. The means of production actually remain owned by the Chinese government, and they make these deals with companies. Sometimes they force them to transfer technology. Don't forget, prior to the Clinton administration, we actually had with China the same thing we had with the former Soviet Union. That was a list of restricted items that we wouldn't give to them. Mm-hmm. But when Clinton opened it up, he opened it up to everything. Yep. But there was massive amounts of tech transfer, and they literally skipped generations of development and caught up with this fairly quickly. So we've done it to ourselves, and we've given it to China.
It's hard for me to appreciate or understand the mind of the left, which talks or seems to say they talk about human rights so much. They're so concerned here and reminding us so often of slavery in America that ended almost 160 years ago. There's slavery that goes on right now. There's even child slavery that goes on right now. Yes. No country does it more so than China. They have nothing to say about this. I do not understand this.
Yeah, to me, it's part of the double standard. It's always to disadvantage our own country. I don't understand why, but They always want to disadvantage and run down our country and ignore every other nation's foibles, sins, etc. And part of it is this moral relativistic type of indoctrination that so many on the left have done. That goes hand in hand with critical race theory, etc. And so for us to say, well, we think our society is good because we're free, and we think that people want to be free, that's an outrageous statement to the left. Mm-hmm. But if you say that in other countries where people do want to come to America because they feel that they would be freer, or they know they would be freer here, they would embrace that state.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, at the same time heartening, and depending, I guess, on which way you gaze at it, when you see protesters in Hong Kong saying better things about the United States than you do some of your Democratic Party colleagues in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, isn't it ironic? But it all just comes back around to what has China done? We have built up everything that they have by transferring everything technology to our wealth to them, and by giving that to them, you would expect not necessarily a reciprocal agreement where they would give us a bunch of stuff back, but a respectful relationship where they would respect who we are. But instead, they continue to ramp up everything from rhetoric, and in the meantime, while we've been helping them, they're abusing regional neighbors. I mean, the South China Sea issue is amazing. You've got the Southeast Asian tigers, formerly the Southeast Asian tigers, that have to deal with China. China wants to become the regional hegemon with the currency exchange in the region. They're always looking for the best deal for themselves and the worst deal for you. When America's making a good deal, we want the best deal for ourselves. Sure. But you know what? We're not purposefully looking to emasculate our competitors, economic competitors or trading partners. That's what China is trying to do.
Yeah, exactly right. That's well said. I just hope that we don't lose the focus on this, and I hope that we do take the lesson from the coronavirus as the capstone to the problem with a government like China. This is a million times worse than Chernobyl, but it's the same exact attitude. Lie, cover it up, people die. In fact, people die across the world. Let me, with the short time I have left with you, Andy, this is another big issue. You put out a great press release on it today urging President Trump to suspend grants of guest worker visas. Yeah, if not now, when, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, the real number that we have unemployed exceeds 40 million.
Yeah.
Even though the official number is 36, and it'll go up another 2 to 4 million tomorrow when the new numbers come out.
Yes, sir.
And when that comes out, you have to say, yeah, there's going to be people that we need, like we might need them in ag industry, et cetera. But in reality, you can't tell me you can't find replacement workers out of 40-some-odd million.
That's right.
Now, the problems we have is because Congress, present company excluded, of course, voted to provide benefits to people to stay home and not work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to employers who say, well, I'm having a tough time getting people to come back because they make $600 on top of their unemployment wages from a federal bonus. This, and by the way, the bill Nancy Pelosi just ushered in extends those benefits for months and months and months because they don't want people to come back. But we may have displacement, and I'm sad about that. It's not easy to have displacement or retraining or go to new jobs. But unfortunately, we're going to see businesses absolutely close up and some not come back.
That's
and so we might need to get some training and new jobs and what have you. But to say, well, we're going to bring in another million workers plus, it makes no sense.
Yeah, Americans don't need to have to make that competition right now. No.
Right.
They don't have to be forced in that competition. By the way, thank you for voting against that $3 trillion monstrosity. You know, if she wants $3 trillion, why couldn't we just give everyone a tax break for the next 2 years?
Well, good grief. I mean, at some point, they want to get all this money. Why not just give everybody $1 million?
Why not just give everyone $1 million? Andy Banks. You ate your Wheaties today, brother. It's so good to have you, and I love talking. Next time I'm going to have, we're going to do it. I love a congressman that can bring up critical race theory. We're going to talk about that next time too. Andy, Andy, I love having you on. I love having you in Congress. You're doing such great work. I was so looking forward to the show today, knowing I was going to get to talk to you. So thank you for doing everything you're doing, and thanks for visiting with us.
You're too kind. Thanks, Seth. Keep up your good work.